we're going to tackle the world of anti-money laundering. And joining us to discuss this is Jeroen Dekker. He's the Senior Product Manager, Risk and Compliance at, is that Fiserv?
Fiserv.
Fiserv,
Exactly.
nice to have you with us. So first of all, tell us a little bit about what Fiserv actually does.
Fiserv is one of the largest technology solutions providers to the financial services industry in the world. We have a number of different competencies, including core processing, payments, online banking. And we're here at the show with a number of specific solutions, and my corner of the world, if you will, is financial crime risk management.
Okay, so
divided over both anti-money laundering and fraud solutions.
So tell me what you're seeing there, the context. What kind of financial crime are we seeing these days? We were talking earlier this morning about cyber crime, but what kind of financial crime and anti-money laundering crime are we seeing with regards to the financial services industry?
Sure, it's very diverse, and so our scope, if you will, started out from a fairly narrow AML domain and a fraud domain, and what we see on the compliance side is a proliferation of regulations that dictate that financial institutions do something against financial crimes, whether it's tax evasion or corruption or sanctions violations. It's been a hot topic, obviously.
Yes.
And they even are moving in on the world of fraud, right? Whereas in the past, investments against fraud were sort of a discretionary decision based on the fraud losses that a financial institution may have had. More and more we're seeing the regulators dictating that banks take measures against it. An example of that is the FFIC guidance in the United States that came out to protect consumers against internet banking fraud.
So, I mean, are banks actually poised well? Are they well poised to deal with these problems? Because, you know, are they actually resilient to deal with these issues?
It differs, obviously, across regions, across types of institutions. And also the criminals move around, right? They move around countries, they move around banks, they move around payment channels to look for the weak spots. And so if one bank is well protected, they'll move on to the next one. And so that's the luxury that they have, right? They get to pick their battles when they fight, how they fight, where they fight.
So how do you actually prevent these problems from happening? What are some of the things, the real, practical, real-world things that banks are actually doing? Sure,
so our main message as a technology vendor is make sure that part of your arsenal is anomaly detection, and I'll get back to that in a second. Because it starts also with education and awareness of your customers, but also your employees internally, that they're aware of the risks that they can run with their behavior. And then we have this idea of locks on the door, sort of authentication mechanisms ranging from passwords to things like very advanced things like biometrics. Now history shows that all those locks get broken, and so behind that, and we call this a layered defense, behind that should sit something called anomaly detection that starts to understand the behavior of customers, right, across their accounts and across all the different transaction channels that they use. And even starts, and that's sort of the next generation, if you will, even starts understanding what's normal for a given device, like a laptop. Is a laptop being used to access the online banking accounts of a number of different customers? That shouldn't happen, right?
Yeah.
What's normal for an ATM or a branch? So cross-channel monitoring, customer-centric monitoring, but also anything-centric, right? Learn about your ecosystem in all sorts of different ways so that you make the criminal run a virtual gauntlet of tripwires that show that something is strange about a given payment. So you can prevent it, right?
Okay, so as we look ahead, I mean, you know, technology is great to help, you know, prevent some of these things, but actually those criminals have probably better technology than we're trying to catch up with as well. So as we look ahead, what is the sort of things, how are they going to be able to create these problems for banks?
It's going to be a technological arms race that will continue, right? They're onto anomaly detection even, right? A couple years ago I could sit here and say anomaly detection is the greatest thing, they don't know that that's happening. Well, they know now. They're starting to simulate human behavior on a website so that it's not all happening in a split second because it's a machine doing it. They're starting to simulate it. So it's hard to know where it'll go. You have to just keep at it. There is no silver bullet that'll make it go away, and we have a lot of work to do still.